good. It's great. And I want to give you a great shkoyach. This parsha this week is Parshas Korach.
One second, I'm just going to silence everybody. 1 second. This is the best part about Zoom. I know that usually when a Rav gives a drasha, people can talk. You can't stop people talking during a drasha. But on Zoom, you can stop other people from talking.
Okay. This Parshas Korach is a very sad sequence of events that happened in the Jewish history. And it's sad because of a few reasons. First of all, it's sad because of what happened, the result of Korach Vadasoy, the lshem that went on there, and of course the kinder that brought this whole episode to being. But also what's sad is that it was one of ours. It wasn't just, two people fighting. It was two gedolim fighting, and the Midrash brings down that, not here, but there's a Midrash that says that the tree once is the axe, the thing that knocks on it and chops it down. And it asks them, how come, when the axe goes after a tree and knocks on it and breaks it, you don't hear such a big noise. But when an axe metal hits another metal, there's a tremendous amount of noise going on. Why is there such noise between one metal and another versus one metal on the tree? And the Bible says that the axe, the metal, answered the tree and said, because when you hit someone else, it's a tremendous bad thing. And of course, there's a noise that, you scream, it's a himmelgeschrei. But when one hits their own, then there's a tremendous outcry that has to come. And here you have Moshe Rabbeinu, who could be Moshe Rabbeinu, who was the Adon HaNeviim, and he was the Ish Onav Mikol Odom Mashal K'Bnei Adama. And here you come, and you have a Korach who's also a tremendous person. He was from the Noisa Uran. He carried the Uran. Could you imagine a person, what kind of madrigi had to be to carry the Uran? And not only that, but survive the carrying. The Gemara says that the Levium were the smallest of all the Shvatim because they had to do Avodah HaKodesh, and if they weren't in the right situation and they weren't with the right kavanas, they weren't managed. And that's why there was less Levine than anybody else in the Shvatim. And here there's a Nazi, there's someone who carries the Oren with such a great person, such a Talmud Chacham, such a Gevia. A Gevia, the Gemara says in Tzeh Ulmad that Yosef hid 3 treasures. One of the treasures was found by Korach. As a Mizuk in Yiddish, Erot Korach's Oitze. This is not some folklore. It comes from the Gemara, Korach's Oitze. And therefore, he was the one that should be the closest to Moshe Rabbeinu, the most understanding and the friendliest. And yet, he went on after Moshe Rabbeinu and felt that Moshe Rabbeinu had somehow or another taken away what really belongs to him. And Emerson, not everybody understands and interprets the machlokas of Korach and Moshe in that way. I heard from the Borogh Rebbe, the ultimate Borogh Rebbe, and Shaya can relate to this. My cousins was on Zintishtag, but Shaya's parents come from the Betsk. Actually, his mother comes from the Betsk. The Betsk was a place that was a chassidus, was a Borogh chassidus. That was the whole town was Borogh chassidim, and they were very close to the Borogh Rebbe. And the Borogh Rebbe said that the big Rebbes came out from Korach, and they wanted to be the Korach. Why? He said, what Korach didn't understand, that Moshe Rabbeinu was the Nevi and Neviim. Korach didn't understand that Moshe Rabbeinu went up to be with the Torah. Everybody else had to stay at the end of the mountain, and he went from Moshe Nigash Elohim. He thought that he could beat that. He thought he was greater than that. How could he ever even think and ever have him that Kolway the Kun Kadosh were all just as great with Seichem Hashem, Umadut, it's not so Akal Hashem. So the Borogh Rebbe said, I'm more word, and later on I saw that the Reish Ruv and the Drashi Ian says a similar word also. In order to be a leader, in order to be influential, in order to make an impact, then you have to understand the people who you're leading. You have to be in their madrega in order to be an influence. If you're not in their madrega and you don't understand anything about them, then therefore it's very difficult to relate to them or help them out and be able to lead them. The Gemara tells us also that in the Medrash that the Medrash says Dor dor v'dorshov, dor dor manhigov, dor dor v'gazlunov, dor dor v'chamsunov. The Rabbi Shalom showed Moshe Rabbeinu all the words that would come until Mashiach will come. And every manig, every fear, every quality of David showed him. And he showed him all the gazlonim and he showed them all the chamsonim. And maybe you have to understand, where does a gazlan and chamson come over here to show them Moshe? What's it get in to see? But the Rebbe Abzitcha once said, it was a big honor, as you know, he said, Oy vey, Moshe Rabbeinu is going to see that I am also a Rebbe. And he'll say, Zitcha, die bist auch a Rebbe, wie kommt sie die zu sein a Rebbe? And the Eibishter will show Moshe Rabbeinu the door that he's in. Gazlunim, Echamsunim, Bazado Zitcha, bis die Ochet geht. And B'meila, therefore, the door has to pass the seat to the manig has to see pass to the door. And therefore, when Moshe Rabbeinu came down from Shomayim with the Luchas and he saw what the Yidden did in Egel Azov, the Eibishter says to him, Leich reid kishichas amcha. Says Rashi, Leich reid mit gedulascha. Klum lo natzati lecho gedula, elo b'shvil Yisrael. I gave you greatness only because of Klal Yisrael. Now the Klal Yisrael sinned, and therefore you're going to get an einish also. Leich reid l'chayet is not understandable. Moshe Rabbeinu is an independent tzaddik. What does he have to do with the sins of Klal Yisrael? Why should he lose any of his madregas because Klal Yisrael sinned? What does that have to do with him? But the answer that I heard from the Bluja Rebbe also, Leich reid kishichas amcha means the following, Avotzai. Leich reid, you have to go down for your madrega. You know why? Kishichas amcha. You can't lead them anymore. If they're on a small madrega and you're on a high madrega, how could you relate to them? How could you understand what's going on with them? How could you be their fearer? It's not an oinish that Moshe Rabbeinu was getting. Maybe she was just readjusting him to the new realities. You can't be in that madrega and relate to these people who just did the Egel Azov. And when the Yidden want a tremendous madrega, when they want to tabel the Torah, Shifcha Hayom, Mashaloroi, Cheskel Ben Buzi, Bemar Neviah, what does Rabbi Michoel said? Umoisha Allah Leikim. That's when you had the madrega of the Kus. Why? Because Klal Yisrael was on that madrega, and they were able to understand. I had the son to Zach, Rabbi Kalish. He's the Rav Lawrence, a huge Talmud Chacham. I was with him in camp about 30 years ago. He came there as a menal of the yeshivas, a young man. And I was there too. And every Friday, after his shir, I ate lunch. And at 1 o'clock, he went out to the ballpark and he played ball, took off his jacket and put on the cap. And he swung the bat. And the ball went over the fence, one after the other. And I looked at it a little strange, you know, from a little chassidic background, you know, Erev Shabbos, you learn more of Shemesh, you learn Noimalim Melech, like the mikveh mes, a bissel tameh, a bissel rossel, the bells of would that they call that their toimel. And therefore, something to do Erev Shabbos Kodesh, preparing for the Heilige Malke, Shabbos Malkasa. And here he goes and plays ball with them. It didn't make any sense to me. And I asked him, Rabbi Kalish, could you explain this to me? And he said to me the following. He said, you know, the children that I teach, I need to relate to them. A whole week I could learn with them and I can teach them. Many times they're just out of it, spaced out. Today they have many lashonis, ADD, ADDH, all these acronyms that they have with riddling they give. And some else is how they want to be able to make the children concentrate. He says, but you know what? When I play with them and I relate to them, and I hit a home run. Oh, the Rebbe can hit a home run also. Oh, this is a Rebbe we have to learn from. This is a Rebbe we have to build Kabul. The next week is a different week for them. You got to be able to relate. And therefore, says the Heilige Bluja Rebbe, that Korach was not degrading in any way Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron. He said that you should know Rav lachem. You know when you could be Rabbonim in Klal Yisrael? Ki call away the kulim kedoshim b'soichem Hashem. When the Klal Yisrael is on a tremendous madrega, them also we need a Moshe Rabbeinu. If we can mash from Moshe Rabbeinu, we can have a know from Moshe Rabbeinu. He can teach us, we can understand. Aber madua, why do you look now to be the manhig of Klal Yisrael? It's not so al kal Hashem. You're so high over the Klal Yisrael, Rosh of the Riba, your head and shoulder above us. We don't understand. We can't relate to you. It's Madut, it's not so Kal Hashem. And therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu, Korach did not mean in any way to denigrate or embarrass Moshe Rabbeinu. He knew Moshe Rabbeinu was the biggest one, but What could you do? He felt that they couldn't relate, and therefore they wanted a money that they should be able to relate to. And he understood also Tzaddik Katoma Yifchach, as everybody knows, Rosh Tevis, Korach, Losad Love, we will pass him like Korach, side with the Talis and side with the Bayis, smallest for him, and all the other kashas that he had. And therefore there's a little military on Korach that he meant taka for the good. Park-Parshas, we see that Korach was sunk into the ground, and therefore there must have been something a little bit more than just a melitza and kind words that he had for Moshe. It must have been a little bit more tougher and more difficult of a situation between them. And if you take a look at the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin, you see something very, very interesting. He wasn't Korach. Korach himself maybe would not have done this on his own. Korach had his partner, and the partner was his wife. And the Gemara goes on to describe two women that had a tremendous impact on the Jewish history and the Jewish destiny. And that was Korach, and that was also Oim ben Peles's wife. Korach's wife, and Korach came home and told him what happened. Korach's wife said, what? Moshe Rabbeinu took for himself the Malchus, and for his brother he gave Kahuna, and for his nephews he gave for the Skan Kahanim, and for you he didn't give. How's that possible? You are such a great person. You have all these milas and attributes and schutz others, and actually you're next in line in succession. And he goes and gives it to the youngest brother. It doesn't make any sense. And she really set him up to this. He's right. And of course he went out and he did what he did. And on that, the Gemara says there was another woman there in that time and in the life of these events, and that was Oim ben Peles. Oim ben Peles Ishta Hatzilusai. Oim ben Peles' wife saved him. How did Oim ben Peles' wife save him? When he came home at night, the night before, everyone was swooped into the ground. He came and he told his wife, you know what happened? I made a pact. I swore to Korach and all his people that I'll be with them, one for all and all for one. And Korach took another 250 of the greatest of Klal Yisrael, Kiyim, Moyed, Anshe, Shem, Nesiim, and they also held like him. Moshe was wrong. We have to give over the Melucha to Korach. He's taking too much Avraham b'nei Levi. And his wife said, what's with you? Oim, what are you doing here? How can you go with them? How can you make a machlokas be Yisrael? How can you be against Moshe Rabbeinu? He says, what should I do? I swore to him. So I'll help you out. I'll take care of it. And she gave him to drink, and she made him shikah, and she put him to sleep. And she stood out on the outside of the door and let her hair loose. And we understand that hair, any from a yid would not look at her and come near a woman like that. And when the people came out marching into his house, we want you, Korach's waiting, we're going to attack Moshe Rabbeinu. And all of a sudden they take a look at her and they run for their lives. Says the Gemara, could you imagine wherever this tznius, this kedusha, even though they were old for the worst of the worst, yet when it came to dvar ever, they ran. Rav lochem kikol u'eda kulam tedoishim. He was right in that respect, and they ran. And you have to understand, it's a murder kazach on Oim ben Peles's wife. Why couldn't Oim ben Peles say, I'm sorry, my husband is not home. My husband is fanimin. He's not available. As the common thing everybody would do. Now, what happens when you don't want to meet somebody or talk to somebody? Sorry, a meshulach comes, chas v'shulam, you shouldn't do that. But how many people do that? My husband is not home. He's not available. Here she went out and did something against her nature and against her conscience and against Yiddishkeit to save her husband and to save Moshe Rabbeinu, to save Klal Yisrael. Why couldn't she simply say, I'm sorry, he's not available? She was in such a madrega that it was an emes. She was fighting for emes. If she would now go and be exactly like Korach and also put together some kind of a lie, then she wouldn't be better than him. But emes me'eretz titzmach. He is at home, but I don't want you near him. And I'm going to make sure that you're not going to get there. And she let her hair down. And if you take a look at who this Oim ben Pele was, it's a word because Oim ben Pele, who was he? Where's he mentioned? What? Korach ben Yitzhak, Dosan Vabiram, And he's not part of the 250 Rosh Sanhedrin. He's together with Das and Aviram. Das and Aviram were kapsonim. They went down from the Nechosim. They had nothing. They were poor people, and we also know what kind of people they were, even though wasn't that way. But if he was mentioned together with them, he wasn't the big yachsin, he wasn't the big powerful person. And yet, Korach wanted to grab him in, and he sought the dialogue with his wife, and he said, I have to go. His wife said, a very practical person, he said, why are you going? If Korach wins, you're not going to be the Kohen Gadol. If Moshe Rabbeinu wins, you're also not going to be in the Kohen Gadol. What do you mix yourself in? So the Mefarshim said, he said to her, you know what? I won't be the Kohen Gadol, but maybe I'll get a job in the new administration. Maybe they need someone over there. I'll have a job. I'll be with them. So therefore she said to him, Oin, don't you understand? He's a politician. What happens with a politician after he promises you everything? The day he gets elected, everything is gone. That's what's going to happen with you. You're going to be out. So he said to her, okay, not me. But if he breaks through that idea that a lady can be a Kohen Gadol too, so my children have an opportunity to be a Kohen Gadol. So you know what she did? Say the Mefarshim, she let her hair down on Tzvi's dick. She wanted him to take that idea out of his mouth. Gemara tells us Masechet Yuma that Kimchis had 7 children she saw in her lifetime who were Kahanim Gedolim. Could you imagine? A Kohen Gadol, 7 children. Not that they died, they became common, and the other one came, but 7 children. Could you imagine? Says the Gemara, they asked her, where'd you get the schools? She said, no, oilom, lerosa koras baisi, saras roishi. The beams of my house never saw a strand of hair from my head. That's how sneeznik I was. So she wanted to take that idea that he may want to go to Korach because of his children out of his mind, and she let her hair down. And what happened? She built her house with the Chokhmah. The Ivelis, the Eishes Koyach, who had everything to live for. She had money, she had yichus, she had chokhmah, she had toira, she had noisa uren. Can you imagine the godless of a man like that and to live with him? Yet her kinder brought it down to the lowest. My great-grand brought her husband down, and the 250 gedolim down. The only one that was saved was Ba'oim ben Peles, Ishtat Yilutzai. You know, you hear all the time in Klal Yisrael, especially by those that are not really from, and the goyim, the women are subjugated to the men, and it's not really a free kind of a relationship with the woman. Always has to be. It's not that way. The Ishas, the Akeres Abayis, says the Medicine Bereshis, Mikan, Chakol Biyad Isha. She is the one that has responsibility. The Achrayis is to do it, and to be able to put the family straight and the husband straight. Oim and Peles, 2 women in history, in Jewish history, living at the same time, who had such a very serious impact on Klal Yisrael. And let me tell you something else from this story. You know that Shmuel Hanavi came from Korach, as you know, because Korach thought that since Shmuel Hanavi was coming from him, and Shmuel was Shokul Keneged Moshe and Aaron, Moshe Ba'am Kahan B'Shmuel K'mo Shemo. He says the Gemara that Moshe and Aaron Shmuel is just as great as Moshe. So he felt that maybe that he should be the Kohen Gadol also if he's going to have such progenitor, he's going to have such children. So it says that when Hannah came to be mispalel for Eli, he thought that she was a shikara, that she was shikah. So he said to her, this is not his Jewish way. You know, Assyria shikara, Assyria will take away the wine from you. And it said that she was mispalel to the Rabbi Shalom, and she said, Rabbi Shalom, give me zera nochim. What kind of zera nochim? What does that mean? Gemara says, among other things, not too big, not too small, not too smart, not too dumb. What do you mean not too smart? Doesn't everyone want his children to be brilliant and bright? My son the Gadol, my son the brilliant. Why is it that you want them not to be too smart? Look what happened with the Zayde Korach. The Korach shepikeach marol ishtuzes as the Kotzke the Heilige. Why did you do such a shtus to be so smart? Why did you outsmart yourself? If you be normal, just be normal. Rabbi say today's day and age so difficult. Just be normal. That's all. and then you'll be able to capture and to conquer mountains and go to greater heights. All you need to be, but she learned from her Zayda, the Zayda Korach. She said to be mitzvah every Jewish lady in every Jewish home. She thinks Melech in Erev Shabbos. She has in that china. I once noticed in my mother's china, and my wife's Zangazin says the same thing. Oy, Rabbi Yishloil, Nisi Grois, Nisi Klein, Nisi Shai, Nisi Goyach, Nisi Klein. A whole tefillah, just being normal. Sie hat sich ausgelernt from Koyach and Daftin. One more thing she learned from Koyach, when she came to Mishkan Shiloh, and with the Spalzan, and Eli thought she was sick. Eli saw, and she said, you don't understand, I'm not sick, I have a broken heart, full with pain, no children for so many years. I look at Penina, one child after the other. And Eli said, I made a mistake, and he gave her a bracha. Mikan, that if somebody goes and chassidic shame, he has to give a bracha. And he said to her, you'll have a son, and bring him, please, when he's 3 years old to Mishkan Shila. When he was 3 years old, he brought him to Mishkan Shila. And there was a whole conversation between the Kahanim. They were looking for a kohen to shech the carbon. And Klein Eli says, was not from a kohen. I learned the Cheda, that the mitzvah school starts, the Kabbalah Be'elech, with Shlita, you can get anybody. Eli, here's this. Who's Paskin here? Well, who's Paskin? This little Shmuel is Paskin. Shmielachel. Shmielachel is Paskin. It's the Moira look of the Rabbi Michoel Levine. There's that. What's the scream? Elana says, Paloti. I daven for this child. How can you do this? And he said, I'll give you a better child, a greater child. No, Sanaz is Paloti. And all of a sudden, Eli backs out and allows Shmuel to live. Maybe you have to understand, Chana was one of the greatest Nevi'as. She was very odd in the Rabbi Shalom. She knew that this child came from Eli. Hashem she'iltiv. I took him from the Rabbi Shalom. And if the Abisha says this child is no good, you need another child. Why was she so connected to the maternal instinct that you couldn't part with him? Says my Shver Rabbi Michoel Levine, a mother's tefillah begleits the child all his life. When a child is in any situation that he would be, a Yiddish tefillah, Yiddish tere is never gone to vain. It's always there in the base Genozov of Kodesh Baruch when a child needs it, he recalls it and brings it into his chutz. And it's so important. Sometimes you say to yourself, what am I going to daven for my child? He has everything. No, you never know when your child will need it. Many stories. I don't have the time to say it. I just want to finish off. And B'meila, she said to him, you're going to give me a new child. There's going to be the tefillahs that I gave for this child that's going to go and baglight this child his whole life and help him. Where's it going to be? Where did she learn that? She learned that from Korach. Korach ben Yitzhak ben Kos ben Levi v'lo ksiv ben Ya'akov. Ya'akov said, no, don't put me in the machloikis. If Yaakov's name would have been in that machloikis, if Yaakov's chutz would have been there, Korach would never have done what he did, because he would have had the chutz always that would have stopped him from doing and put some sense in him to say, you can't do this, and that's not the right thing to do. From there, Chana learned those two things. The first thing that she learned is that Vedafum de Klikcha, Ehrlichkeit, the Koil Shepikechoy Marol Ishtuzeh, Medafum Klikcha, Ehrlichkeit, nicht Klikcha. And the second thing, Medafum Tefillah, davening for our kin. Look what happened with Koil if he would have those tefillahs from Yaakov where he would have been. I just want to conclude. You take a look at the people who had the Yartzeit tonight, who have the Yartzeit tonight. First of all, my aunt, I happened to be in Toronto when my aunt passed away, and I tried to get a plane to come back, and the earliest plane I can get would be 2 hours after Levias. I couldn't make it, so it's shomayim that now I'm saying a few words about her from Toronto, Taka. And Shaya was luckier than me. He got out quicker, and he got there in time, but I couldn't get out. You take a look at these people. You take a look at my mother, Shalom. You take a look at these people that they were mamishakes by the tefillahs that they had. Man kin, so sagen sind sie stark. Man kin, da habe ich so the bench and the cares of bites that they were. The way they took care of their husbands to go in the right way. You know, the with me, and the Ish is one who follows the husband. Yeah, try saying it today. In a woman's lib movement, yeah, a woman is Isha Pasha because she follows her husband's dictates. I heard from my sister-in-law, heard from Edison Pila Yeager, she said, she makes the rotzen for her husband. She makes that her husband should have a rotzen to learn, her husband to get stuck, as her husband to daven. That's an Ishik Shera. These were the Ishik Sheras. And Dr. Rabbi Mermelstein, all of a shalom. I didn't know personally, but I heard about him. And throughout the years when I grew up, he was then in his fame and his glory. Gedoyle Olam would go and listen to what he had to say and take his advice. You know, we were brought up on Dr. Benjamin Spock. I don't know if anybody knows who he is. He wrote 50 million copies of his book, were translated into 40 languages in the last 50 or 60 years. Could you imagine Dr. Spock? He was machriv the whole oilam. His attitude and his relationship that he taught parent to child. There's no yira, there's no respect, there's no nothing. Give and give and give and give. And therefore they brought up doiris. Unfortunately, we suffer out of Yom Hazeh. But Dr. Mermelstein, look at this book that he wrote. I'm not sure that he sold 50 million copies yet, but he's on the way. It just came out not too long ago. He'll probably be there in a little while. The way he strives, how choisen shiftoi soina benoy. You have to have the rod. You can't spare the rod, but you don't have to use the rod. Look at what happened by Aaron. Aaron, the one who wanted to show that Aaron was the one who was the chosen and anointed. He told God's clients, so everybody take a stick. They took a stick, they brought it into Elmoy the next day. I'll stick, oh, it blooms and it blossoms, and there's an almond there. Says the Blushver Rebbe, Zechoin Levrucha, after all of what the Yidden saw, Korach got sunken in and swallowed in. Amagefa went on. Kriyas Mitzrayim. They saw the Kriyas Yamsov, Yitzias Mitzrayim. They need a stick to prove that Moshe is the Melech and Aaron is the Kohen. And the answer is, the stick was not to prove anything. The stick was to prove who Moshe was and Aaron was. Although they had the stick, but you know what they used the stick for? Blossoming, blooming, beautiful fruits. Yes, there was a stick there. It was again Seichel, mit Ahavas Yisrael, mit Liebschaft, mit Lechtigkeit. And these three people who have the Yartzeit on this day, it's not for naught that this day comes out in Parshas Korach, so resembling what they stood for all their lives and what they did to build Baruch Hashem such beautiful houses be Yisrael. The biggest we take, we're talking about now, about this is dedicated. The Zeich nishmas. You know what the Zeich nishmas is? You take a look at Rabbi Mermelstein, and you take a look at Shaya and you take a look at the grandchildren of my mother, and those are the real nechama, those are the real dedication to Klal Yisrael. Those are the people that learned from what we saw in Korach. Zechusem Tugen Oleini V'Hakol Yisrael Amen. Ashkoyach for this opportunity, Shaya and Rabbi Mermelstein.
Thank you. Everyone can unmute and give you a shakar to Rabbi Kaufman. I have Rabbi Kaufman.
Rabbi Yechiel, you don't disappoint. That's for sure.
I believe, Shaya, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Rabbi Kaufman hit a home run tonight. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Over the fence, like Rabbi Yechiel used to.
But you guys don't need it. That's the problem.
The Rebbe can hit.
The Rebbe can hit a home run.
Okay. Does anybody has a question? We have a few moments for questions.
Yes.
So you said that it was the difference, really, the powers here were the difference between Mrs. Korach and Mrs. Pellis and the attitude.
Correct. And not only that, you have to understand the contrast, the unbelievable contrast, because in the interest of Mrs. Korach would be, leave things alone. Your husband has money, he has yichus, he has everything. Why? Because skin is that kind of a thing. Kinna destroys for no reason. That's kinna. The reket at some way skinna. It just goes and spoils everything. On the other hand, the ashes of Oimben Peles should have made this kind of cheshbon. Listen, you got nothing now anyway. Why don't you take the chance? He may win. You may have a job. Your children may have a job one time. He may win. Yet you see how the attitude and the way they looked at Emesnikai. Oim Bepelis was interested in Emesnikai. His wife was into. That's why she didn't say my husband is not available. It's a little joke on the side. Some American children don't know how to speak Yiddish so much, and they get confused between the words. And there's something called a hose. A hose is a house, and the hoisen is the pants. Hoisen. So sometime once somebody came in, knocked on the door, they didn't want to see him, but they thought the kid, listen, Zug had the tate inish in hose. Man tate inish in the hoisen. Understand? So B'meila, you say a lie, you wind up with much more than just a lie that you're saying, with a tremendous embarrassment, as they say. This was her yesod. Em is the kai. She said to Oim Ben Peles, if I'm going to say a lie, what am I different than Korach? You might as well go join them. And therefore, she said the truth, and she did it in a way which would spare them, because she knew no matter how far they fell, they were still in a certain medrega that in turn of tznius. When it comes to elva, kol makom sheyesh ba gidor elva, that's where yesh b'kedusha. And that's why he was able to say, Korach, as lshem ki tolerate the full kedoshim. What kind of call it kedoshim? They're just making a revolution, and the lshem just made him into the melech, and now you want to destroy it. What kind of kedoshim? Because the Indian of ever that death they had. Therefore, he was able to say kedoshim.
Reb Yechiel.
That's Shaya.
Sorry, Shaya. Whoa, I can't hear you. 1 second. Unmute, Shaya.
Shaya, unmute, Shaya.
We're enical of the Shalah Kaddish.
Okay.
And the Shalah Kaddish is an enical of the Balamar.
Okay.
And the Balamar is an enical of Shmuel Anavi.
Correct.
So it comes out that we're enical of Korach. It comes out.
Okay, so I'll tell you what the Rebbe said. The Rebbe once asked somebody, "Wer bist du?" He said, "Besides wer ich bin, man tate, man seide, der Ruf." I didn't ask for your father. Wer bist du? Shaya. If your name Shaya Usha, because the Shah Kodesh was also named Shaya. Your Zayda was called Rabbi Yechiel Schachner, Ish Halevi, Ish Horowitz, and the Shah Kodesh also signed himself Ish Horowitz. His name was not Schachner. His name was Horowitz. How did you get the name Schachner? A little history, Shai, that you should understand. How did you get the name of Schachner? Schachner is a first name, not a last name. You ever say Schachner is not a last name? Very few people have Schachner last name. Because in those days, they tried to run from the army, and they were looking for Horowitz. So he changed his name to Mil Schachner. Schachner is not Horowitz. Let him go. And that's the Blibin Schachner. But yes, you come from the Shlach Kodesh. And the Shlach Kodesh is one of the only few that are called Kodesh. And if you, Shaya, emulate the Shlach Kodesh, then you can go back to the Shlach Kodesh. If not, then we send you back further.
Do you tell that to you have a son? Yeah.
Korach was not bad, chas v'shum. How can you speak on Korach if he was Tzadik Atoma Yifa will paskin also over like Korach? So chas v'shum, if I said anything chas v'shum to degrade Korach, I did not mean chas v'shum. We're talking only at Lasabetz HaOizen to understand the differences where they were coming from.
Okay.
And I'm very proud to be, Shmuel Hanavi's amical and Korach's also, because don't forget, Al Habuchim in Divrei Yomim, Korach goes back to Yaakov Avinu also.
Okay.
I
very good. And you have a son, Yeshaya Usha.
That's correct.
Okay.
My son is also named after the person who was named after the Shlach Kodesh.
Right. Okay.
So there was, even though we always say Korach va'adasai, that really the machlekes was between Korach and his people, and not really Korach with Moshe. What I'm hearing the Rav saying that there really was a disagreement between Korach and Moshe, that there was a sense of a machlekes between the two.
Why? Where do you see that from?
Well, you're saying that Korach came along and said, I'm Rab lachem pnei Levi v'amich kulam. What does he say?
According to what the Beluga Rebbe said, to be melamed schus on Korach, you're right. To be melamed schus on Korach, you're 100% right. Then Korach meant it for the good. He wanted to have a leader that he could relate to, the quality soul can relate to. And that's what the Beluga Rebbe says. But aim mikra yotzim de pshuta. And this was part of history that we don't understand. Chas v'shum, to parochialize this machlokes to be as what I just described it was only the hasbik sa'oizim. Understand? We should understand to see the extremes of the machlokes, but this was much, much, much more than what we would think. That this is just a plain machlokes between them. You're 100% right. Look, the blue Rebbe, then this was really, he was not, in that case, what's the question? In that case, why was he swallowed in? Why was he swallowed in?
Why was Korach swallowed in? Because
he meant good for Zvilster. But he wanted to add something. Answer is, you can't be frummer than the Rabbi Yechiel. If the Rabbi Yechiel made them, this one a melech and this one a kohen gadol, all your terutzim won't help. Ein chachma ve'ein tfuna ve'ein eitza neged Hashem. And that's what people have to know. Most machlokes come because people put the shmachtik in the ear, as I've been in Yiddish. They mean lshem shomayim. Lshem shomayim. Everyone's lshem shomayim. If everyone would drop the lshem shomayim and just look at the values of what they're discussing, then they wouldn't have a machlokes. And therefore, the lesson from Korach, even according to the Blue Rebbe, is you're 100% right, but you can't argue with the Rabbi Shalom. Don't be frummer than what the Rabbi Shalom told you. And therefore, the Eibush made them with all your cheshbonos. You have to agree and be able to be mukabel with the Eibush said.
Okay, Yeshur Koyach, good Shabbos. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
I'm sorry for taking more of your time, Shaya.
No,
Yechiel, it's your cousin Avraham Moshe. So I want to wish you, they should, both of them, they were very close in life, and they shared our Yartzeit, and they should be Militzos Yosha for the whole family.
Amen. Amen. Seid gesinnt. Gute Nacht.
Okay.
Shaya, was that your brother?
Good Shabbos, Rabbi Yaakov.
Yeah.
Sounds like you. Yeshur Koyach, thank you.
Koyach, Thank you very, very much.